Being meeting of Law and Government Committee order at 8:33. Yeah, Kathy, are you comfy? Kathy, can you do a roll call for me, please? Where is she?
She needs a gavel.
Sager. Wagner.
Here.
Hendricks.
Here.
Campbell. Here. Kunkel. Thornton.
Here.
Altough.
Here. Thank you very much. Glad all of you could join us at 8 a.m. to watch the proceedings. I thought they were very interesting. Might I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented? Mr. Shorten, seconded by Ms. Wagner. All those in favor? Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries. There are no public comments. Member comments. Anybody have any comments about what we just witnessed?
Incredible. And the incredible turnaround time between when that came in and how much information was presented.
Right.
It's amazing.
Comment made that people come in at 5 a.m. to get ready for court. Again, great employees.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, I think it's just you know, looking at how the Pretrial Fairness Act takes place. I mean, it's obviously it's very efficient. All sides had their ducks in a row to a certain extent, but it's also seemed very good especially for such the charges that were put forward. So
6 individual charges to do that background. I agree. Eric, you didn't see anything that you're not familiar with. Anything else beyond that? No. New business. There's a recommendation for the reappointment. There was no new liquor, so 5.2 is there a motion. Ms. Wagner, seconded by Mr. Shorten. Any discussion? If you'll recall, we actually did do an interview with Ms. Marshall previously and waited to see if there were any other applicants, and there were none, so this makes sense. No other discussion? Kathy, can we have a roll call, please?
Wagner.
Yes.
Shorten.
yes.
Hendricks.
Yes.
Campbell.
Yes.
Altough.
Yes. Legislative update. You all received a written report. Any particular items that you want to address, Alicia, that beyond what was in the report?
Yes, I will make them up there.
Please.
Well, first off, I would like to give a paper copy to all of you. So it's best, in my opinion, to have both electronic and paper. All right, for our purposes, I wanted to bring to your attention that representatives from McHenry County were able to travel to Washington, D.C. to attend the NACO conference. We were able to meet with Congressman Foster, Schneider, and Lovegood, and we were able to meet with the offices of Senator Duckworth and Senator Durbin. And we were also meet with the Congressman Schakowsky's office as well. We did advocate for or at least explain the issues of the police social work program, and that additional funding was needed for that program, along with additional funding for community development block grants, and also for veteran services here in McHenry County as well. But what was truly interesting about this was learning how many different opportunities there were funding, whether for grant opportunities, et cetera. So we have a lot more to look into, and we will be pursuing different options for the police social work program. Also, I don't know if any of you were able to catch the governor's State of the State address, but one of the items of interest was his comment on repealing the state grocery sales tax. It's a 1% tax. Now, in the original report I delivered to you, I apologize, I forgot to put in the words grocery sales tax. So it's not sales tax by itself, it's grocery sales tax. And staff is working now to try to understand what the impact would be on McHenry County. And our county coordinator is already working with the municipalities trying to gather data on how much of a financial impact it will have on them. We've already received some information from the city of McHenry indicating that it will be in excess of $700,000 of an impact. So again, more to come on that, and I look forward to hearing, our county coordinator's full report on that.
700,000 for the city, is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yes.
Sheila now has information, at least from Huntley and Henry.
And our staff is looking into what the impact would be on the county revenues. However, many of our cities have large grocery facilities to sell mass quantities of groceries, and it's not clear that there are any such. Exactly, there's not, you know, as many of those large facilities to our knowledge in unincorporated McHenry County, so we may not feel the same impact that our municipal partners do, but on the municipal side, it is a very real issue. Okay. You will also notice that there are several bills that are of interest. I will not go over all of them because I do not want to bore any of you to death. But if you have any questions, please do feel free to reach out to me. There are many other bills I'm tracking as well. And if there's anything of interest that you hear of in the General Assembly, please feel free to reach out to me. And I'd love to keep an eye on things as they develop. Right now, Springfield is going to be going through several bills in its committees, but the deadline to get things out of committee is going to be March 15th on the House side and April 5th on the Senate's, or sorry, March 15th on the House side and April 5th on the Senate side. So we've got some time to get bills moving through. So again, just feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions or if you see anything you would like me to keep an eye on and report out to the committee.
And when is levy day for the counties? April 10th?
I thought it was April 10th.
Yeah, and April 10th. So I will be going down to Springfield along with some staff individuals to represent McHenry County.
Right, that's county.
The municipal day is the following week. They go, just so you know. And again, I would take a little bit of time and read that report. There are some pieces of legislation being offered, as Member Godmauer noted, that truly would be detrimental, and there might be some need for the county to act ahead of anything that looks like it might gain some traction with regard to some zoning issues. And the other comment I would make to you too is, as you are out, it is an election year. So as you are out and you are talking to your constituents, it may sound wonderful to them that the grocery tax would be eliminated. However, what that does on the flip side is limit the services that you receive and the strain on your local units of government. So just make sure you kind of sort of talk about ramifications, unseen consequences, as we would say. Any questions for Alicia? Seeing none, we'll move on to the routine consent agenda. Anybody have anything that they would like to remove? Motion to approve the routine, Ms. Campbell, seconded by Mr. Shorten. Any other discussion? Kath, can we have a roll call, please?
Campbell,
Yes.
Hendricks,
Yes.
Wagner,
Yes.
Shorten,
Yes.
Altough.
Yes. Thank you. Yay. Those of you who have work. The next item on the agenda is the presentation. We asked for kind of an update and a little evaluation on what's going on with our pretrial fairness, and Judge Camille has graciously offered not only his chamber, but his time. Where are you?
Usually up here.
Honorable.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for allowing us to
Yeah,
do
I
this
can't-
morning.
Obviously, I can't talk about any case
No,
like the one that was
of course
heard this morning,
But we appreciate the invitation to observe prior to your just kind of update, so thank you.
yeah, it's a work in progress always. We're blessed with great facilities, more or less great court security officers.
Thanks, Judge.
Tim's from Marengo, that's where you serve, right?
I got that comment.
Yeah, and it's, we usually try to connect with people, hoping to instill a greater result, more enduring result. But, let me just say this, and what I mean, and I do love Tim and Sheriff Tatelman and what he provides for us, but the state does really well. The public defenders do really well, except for the public defender. Oh, and then court services, Seth is probably there somewhere.
He was.
He was.
He was.
Working. He has a person here at 5 in the morning and she's interviewing people. Then he has another shift. He's broken it up to be mindful of budgets and all that. It's really a team effort. And in the afternoon, yesterday afternoon, we had, I think, 3 or 4 cases. We've been our highest 13, and our low, we've had a couple, at least since December 1st of zip, which is good, right? Hey, no crime, no alleged crime, excuse me. But each hearing, and I caught myself, is, it's like, wow, each hearing is 15 to 20 minutes in length, and we have to go through all those admonitions, whether it's on your immigration rights, that's ordained by statute, or constitutional rights. And, the process is we try to have, I don't know if any of you are old enough to remember the Vulcan mind meld. You try to connect because you want people to appreciate what their rights are and why they're here, they're sitting. And what I have found, and I think what all of our judges have found over the years, is if you give a rational basis, even if they disagree, whoever they are, they appreciate it. And hey, Claire knows, if I can educate my client or it'll provide for a more enduring result. I think our numbers are relatively flatlined, right? That's what we're sticking with as far as detentions go. So, and I think the sheriff can fill you in on that. He said the other night his numbers were up and then down, but they're right about the same. So that's interesting. It's fascinating. Did the Pretrial Fairness Act allow for greater releases? Our numbers kind of suggest they did not. Generally speaking, it goes up and down looking at the statute. 193. And Peter, I don't know, before, it was right around 200 when we were sitting talking, wasn't it? Detention.
We got down to 140 and it's been over 192.
So that's fascinating, but what we do here, and I say this, Tim will be my witness. I couldn't imagine being in the trench like the attorneys. They're great. The public defenders, through this guy's inspiration, they will go back. They're ready. They might not get appointed, but no, that's our administrative order. The prosecutors, they're great. They really care and they focus. And it's not, I'm not going to say Tim and I have 108 cases starting at 9 o'clock. And I'm not going to say we don't have, well, it happens to us too, where people are just not prepared, right? Well, I don't know about this case. These attorneys know about their case. And Pam, not to go into detail, but the case I just heard this morning, less than 24 hours ago, this person was arrested. Less than 24 hours ago. And he has competent counsel. There's a competent prosecutor. That blows me away. I had a civil practice, as you know, we prepare. Well, sometimes I have that fire drill too, but I digress. So the personnel has been great. Appeals, and I don't know what our appeal issues are. They're hiding those numbers from me because I'm probably getting a bunch of appeals. No, I'm kidding. I hope not. But the appeals are really what's challenging, what are challenging the court system now. Chief Justice Mary Jane Tice told us last month at the Conference of Chief Judges, I don't know how she characterized it, but there's been an explosion because there was some processing. And in fact, they've assigned 2 new appellate justices down south that deal Southern Illinois, the 5th District, and Central Illinois, the 4th District, just to help with the onslaught of appeals. But here, it's sort of flatlined, but it has changed our dynamic. Like yesterday, we had 3 or 4 cases. We were in here for maybe an hour and a half. Yeah. And that's just for 3 or 4 cases. Well, one this morning took 27 minutes. So if you have 3 of those, do the math. If you have 108, okay, the collection cases, and those are important cases too. Yeah, I want my $1,200, Mike, right? We've had those. Yes, sir. I want it today. Well, he says he owes it. No, but I want it today. So we're blessed to have these opportunities, Pretrial Fairness Act wise. Pam, I think you all have really given us the infrastructure we need. We're working through it. I think it's going okay. Some people in the county, because we export, knowledge and experience. A certain state's attorney has, thoughts on maybe tweaking the law a little bit to provide for it, and that's what we do. And Attorney Keneally, I applaud him for that. We'll see if the Illinois Judges Association or other groups might be able to help with it. That's because he's like president of the.
He's the association, yes, president of the state's attorney.
So yeah, things are going okay. But I love for y'all to be here because this is the environment where we do the initial appearance report Monday through Friday. Otherwise, there's a little courtroom in the jail that we do it on holidays and weekends, and that actually works pretty well too, thanks to Dan and Mike Toller, one of our. By the way, what was it? When did you join us, Mike? A year or two ago?
Not even, Judge.
It seems like you've been here forever, Dan. But we asked for another business analyst. They call you a business analyst. Isn't that wild? You are. To help us with things like Zoom and the owl and whatever. That's him. He's great. He was here even before me. Well, there's a reason for that. Okay, I'll shut up because I'm working against our financial interests, right, Dan?
No, did anybody else have any questions?
I'm just curious, why was there such an influx of the appeals? I mean, why was there uptick?
Well, okay, I'll be candid because I think it's generally discussed first. Everybody gets an attorney.
Mhm.
Just like we're providing Mark Cook and his colleagues, that's happening at the appellate level. My understanding is, Mark, the attorneys are getting about $1,000 a case to do it, so they have a list of attorneys. So everybody gets an attorney. If you're detained, why not? You're gonna sit. Why not take an appeal? And the process under pretrial fairness is what we say. It's an expedited appeal. So if you're being told if you're going to be held. I had somebody, I'll just speak in generic terms, class X drug-induced homicide, and he didn't like that he was detained, but I'd like to think that everything spoke in favor of that. So yeah, when your personal liberty is being held from you, I think that lends itself to an appeal.
And that would be a question I would have. I mean, I know we've kind of danced around it this morning, but I would like to know if we've had an increase in appeals. And not to an average, I mean, within the last 6 months or something. And I had that just from a financial perspective, if we've got additional work and people and time, I would.
It doesn't impact us. Correct. Because it's being handled by.
But it impacts somebody, right?
Yeah,
That's what I'm asking. From a complete financial perspective, I want to know what is occurring and if there's more work. And how that falls, because that's important for all of us when we consider, budget and allocating resources. So I want to add that info.
And where do those appeals go?
To Elgin, to the appellate court, second district appellate court. But Pam is right. She's the smart one in the group. I always said that.
I'm old.
Well, Kathy, the clerk, has to prepare the record, which means our court reporters have to prepare on an expedited basis the transcript. You're absolutely right in those respects. But once that appeal gets docketed, if you will, then it's the justices of the appellate court down in Elgin. We have Justice Hutchinson from McHenry County, of course, and there are a bunch from Lake, a couple from Kane, but that's where it goes, down to those justices.
And Kathy, hating to put you on the spot, what have you seen?
We definitely have seen an increase. They're not like preparing an appeal on a case that's been going on for years, so they're much quicker and we prepare them electronically. So there's definitely an increase, but not overwhelming because they're so quick to prepare. But we can get you the numbers of how many we've been seeing.
And then is there any follow-up after the case goes to Elgin? Does anything come back into McHenry County? Okay.
So eventually we get a decision back that gets filed.
Okay.
So, we have seen, it brings to mind, it's not only the initial appearance court, but those who were detained, and then as of September 18, now the law changed. So, and I just remember that because 2 days ago, what's today? Tuesday? It was Friday, I think. Judge Davis just had an appeal come back because every time the case is in court, the court has to review now. So she ordered somebody held, and to Tiffany's credit, they affirmed her. But yeah, so there've been some of those too,
Yeah.
a bunch of those actually.
See, I would just, again, I
Yeah,
would
it's
like
curious.
numbers so that we're a little bit better prepared when we talk about expenses. We've had some, you know,
Yeah,
some.
no,
issues.
those are good points. But I'm just trying to think, so let me give you just a minute or two more on a couple of topics. We've talked about, and I know I talked with a few of you, maybe, I know I talked to Chairman Bueller and say, hey, we might need another, well, we need another judge. That was somebody's perspective. We've decided, and I just told Judge Rochford actually Sunday night, we were paying way too much, but I digress. I emailed her, we had a very thoughtful decision, and this goes to our participation with you, and I'm proud of that. Where we have 8 elected or appointed to be elected circuit judges, and we kind of deal with policy and administrative issues where we decided collectively, and we'll talk about how it breaks down, but we think we can do it on our own with the 19 judicial positions that we have. So we're not going to be asking for anytime soon any new positions. We're in the process of filling any moment now. I'm hoping to get the results of some balloting on a new associate judge. Then we have another one that we're taking applications for. So with those 2 filled, we'll have back to a contingent of 19 judges. We have 18 courtrooms if we don't count the courtroom in the jail. And we could, I was arguing we should for, I'm handling 3 different assignments, but woe me. The point is, if you all ever want to visit courtroom 365 where Tim and I will go next, it's tiny. And I did tell the circuit judges the other day, I guess I won't say it in a public forum, that I'm concerned about the logistics, we'll say generally in that courtroom. And then, like in this courtroom, for example, so you know how we operate, we can't, Jennifer Johnson had this courtroom, and she was doing some stuff with Judge Fedier, which would warrant a jury. There's no place to put the jury unless, you know, we put in the first 2 rows here, and we could. But so the need for maybe another jury courtroom, but I think the need of another courtroom, we have those needs, and we really have no meeting space. We convert our law library, close it down to the public. We have meetings there. We use the jury assembly room, and don't get me wrong, you know, we're respectful of that, but we do have some of those needs, but we're not going to ask for another judge.
No, that's okay. So I'm looking at staff and saying, we just had major conversations about space.
Yeah.
I mean, are we documenting the fact that obviously there's space needs here in the court site as well, right? I mean, you talked about, so I don't know if, I apologize, I don't know if that's been a conversation that's been ongoing, but I certainly would hope that there's a little, you know, check mark there that's being included in all of that analysis.
It is certainly brought to the attention, Judge Field, and referenced that to us about the additional courtroom. Actually, I got to see 365 after a court's committee meeting. I do appreciate that opportunity to see its condition. You know, so one of the things that we were asked to do is go revisit the June 2016 space study, and one of the key recommendations out of that was an addition onto this building to accommodate Special State's Attorney's Office. I think, you know, as part of the further conversation, that's something that we want to bring forward. And can there be other needs addressed? But that is an option. So we're in the midst of exploring other ones.
I understood. I just want to make sure that, again, you know, what we're hearing is somehow incorporated in the document that we ultimately look at when we're forced to make decisions about where, again, to spend our limited resources and where we're serving. That's all.
So
it has nothing to do.
I don't want to take the time. What's fascinating, and I think we've talked a little bit about this. I'm looking at Dan, but the I'll have 108 cases up in this courtroom 365, but we had I forget how many we had Friday, might have been 100. So, and as much as we're using remote proceedings, and a bunch of people are remoting in, zooming in, right? Every seat in that courtroom was filled the last couple of days, which scares me, you know, it's with some of your cohorts from you too. It's a lot of people coming to court.
Yeah.
So, but you know, again, we're okay. The only other thing I wanted to mention, Dan and I were working on artificial intelligence, just FYI. And I know I need to track down my friend Dan, because we've been reviewing an add-on to our Lexis package, which is our legal research tool. I really think it's time to move that forward. One of our judges yesterday was asking me, how do I use AI? And where we're trying to leverage AI is in a variety of ways. One, we're trying to use AI to help with things like ODR, online dispute resolution, to triage some cases. I was here till 10:30 yesterday. I'm not whining. I'm just saying I was signing orders because Dan reminded me I had, hundreds of orders last week because we got backlogged. So if we can triage some cases, that'd be great. We're also trying to detect, it's called hallucinations. Judge Berg, Joel Berg's handler, one of our law calls, he actually caught somebody, with an AI product making up a case citation. You've heard about that? It actually has happened. So that's the second thing. And then the third thing is, how can we use it? I'm not going to say it was Judge Davis working late to work on a decision, but that AI component could give us a 24/7, 365 research assistant. Tom Steenor does a great job for us, but so we're working a lot with that. We just launched a Guardian accounting program, thanks to Dan and Taylor, Moran, another business analyst that we're going to offer statewide. We did a little press release on that. We're working, we're busy, we're rocking too, but really appreciate what the infrastructure you all give us. And I mean, I'm not just saying because we're sitting here, but when I go to these meetings with the other circuits, you've heard me say, it's not that way in every circuit. So we have a good working relationship. We want to keep it. And I think that, again, circle back. That's why my colleagues in talking and really behind closed doors with Dan, Jill, and Dawn, we decided not to ask for another judge at this time. We think we can handle it, in part because the infrastructure would have to expand. And we didn't have our courtroom, another deputy clerk probably, people to help us staff it. So that's all I got.
But we appreciate, I think, the fact that you're willing to come and share all of that information so that we have a better perspective. I mean, the only place we really affect you is, again, with money, budget, space. So it's important, I think, for us to be kept, abreast of everything that you're talking about doing and planning. So appreciate it muchly.
Yeah, well, thank you for visiting with us anytime. If this works, we can all think about it. I felt a little awkward last night when Attorney Blue sent an email back to all, and I actually emailed her and Dan and a couple. I said, hey, there's a lot of people there, keep the logistics between those.
We do that all the time.
Yeah.
So, I'm assuming you need this courtroom.
No, it's 4 years as long as you need it. I get 2 courtrooms right now, right, Dan? I get 2 courtrooms, Joe. Right. Yeah. That means I have to do twice.
So you go to 365.
I'm going there right now. After I had my hearing this morning, I went up and opened the Zoom room because we'll probably have about a dozen to 15 different people zooming in. And they're waiting up there, but that's okay because they come in late. It's in that. So we usually start about a couple of so minutes after to let everybody in. Oh, that's serious even. Talk about AI. Isn't that scary? Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
But again, thank you so much. We really appreciate the collaboration.
Yeah, you're always welcome, and we'll see you soon.
Okay, great.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Don't work so late tonight.
All right, you say so, Chair. Senator.
Pam, yeah.
All right, yeah, I'll see you. Oh, no, see you all later.
There is no old business unless one of you would have anything to bring up or talk about. Reports. There are no reports. Did you want to say anything? I'm offering the big.
I have a legislative one. I don't know
Yeah,
if it's on
sure.
the list.
I'm sorry, David.
Wasn't sure who you were looking at. So.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I've been accused of those things. David, can you come up here, please? And under reports, give us a little update.
First one, you're aware of, we've been working with IEMA on the administrative rule. They introduced a very oppressive rule that a lot of my colleagues in the state, I don't believe they can meet the intent of that rule. And we must have argued the right way. We were given 2 weeks to review the rule before they were gonna send it to JCARS. And we got enough of our colleagues to comment. Usually that's the problem, that they don't give it. And I have a copy of many of them, and very, there are a lot of people in the state much more eloquent than I am and much more learned than I am. And it was interesting how it was approached. Some people went to the detail level. We think it's interesting when the state associate or the state emergency management agency doesn't understand the definition of damage assessment. So we, to that level of correcting that to some much more higher level. So it, I don't know if force is the right word, but it convinced them to sit down with us. So representatives from around the state, we've met down there twice. Brooke was able to accompany me the last time. And it's always an interesting perspective when you're sitting back there and you don't have to participate, but you can observe. And it was interesting to hear Brooke's take on what she saw happen. So we're working with them. We're hoping that they're going to take the edge off that bill or the administrative rule so that we can survive. The other side of it is there is a bill that has been presented many years in a row, several years in a row. We tried to negotiate, it's on hazardous material. We tried to negotiate with the sponsor. The sponsor referred us to the citizen that gave her the bill. She said, oh, it's her bill. I don't want to bring names in right now, you know, and I'll get you the Senate bill that it is right now later. But it keeps getting reintroduced. It seemed to move further this time. Here's the problem with that hazardous material bill. It's demanding that local emergency management agencies that we provide, that our plans are approved by the school district, the teachers, the boards, and the parents, our response plan. You pay us a lot of money to do our work, and most of the response plan is actually fire department, the hazardous material. And okay, there is a community right to know. Every resident of this county has a right to know what chemicals are stored where in reportable quantities. So I'm not hesitating on that. The problem is then they want us to label evacuation routes for every school. The train accident in Ohio is a perfect example. Which way was the wind blowing?
Yeah.
For a hurricane, I can label an evacuation route. For a hazardous material spill, I can't label an evacuation route because I can send them the wrong way. And some things you have people shelter in place. For others, you have them get out as fast as they can. For schools, most of the time, it's best to keep them in the school. There's many things in that bill. So I'll get to the bill number. And when you go down there.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, please do that, and I want, yeah.
So that, what bothered us is, myself and Dan Eaters from Lake County tried to talk about the bill with the legislator sponsoring it. She wasn't entertaining dialogue, and with the person, they bought a home and their home backs up on the railroad tracks, and then they realized what goes in trains. And it blew up from there. And, you know, in order to make the world go round, there's some bad things that are in a train, in a truck, in a whatever. I get it, right? We got to do everything we can to protect, but this bill goes too far to things that, well, we would have to hire more people just to do that to the 17 school districts, right? Let alone the impossibility of sections of that bill. We'd be in violation of the bill right. So I appreciate the time to
No,
talk
thank
about
you,
it.
thank you, thank you.
Yeah.
And yeah, I do, Scott has got a question back there.
Actually, I have
No?
an additional report.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'll get out of
Thank
the
you
way.
very much.
Thank
We
you.
really appreciate it. You want to come up here, Scott, please? Thank you.
Well, this should be very brief. On March 20th, EMA is going to lead our courthouse partners in a hot wash and debrief of our February 14th suspicious package incident. We're going to bring in the courthouse partners as well as the responding agencies just to understand what happened, how our response went, and talk about it. So I want to make sure the community is well aware of that. I think, you know, in general, it was a fantastic response and it had a happy ending. But we just understand, okay, what do we do? How do we do it? And just so we can learn from that experience.
Appreciate that.
Can I ask what was actually in that suspicious?
You know, I don't know, if I'm the best one to ask, I don't know if we can answer that at this point in time.
But it was not hazardous.
Was not hazardous, okay.
Yeah, it was, no, it was benign, we know that, it was benign. So,
Great.
but we responded accordingly.
Thank you. Shaylin, do you want to quick update us on what you've been kind of emailing back and forth, just so you have that information?
Yeah, sure, with the grocery tab?
Yes, please.
Yeah, so, as everyone knows, it's no secret, I have, surveyed all of the municipalities in McHenry County to see what sort of, funding revenue that they're expected to lose. We're already up over, $5 million. The larger communities, Algonquin, Crystal Lake, they're gonna lose about $1 million each. And then, of course, the smaller communities as well. So we're tweaking the numbers. There's a little discrepancy in some of the numbers, but it's significant. So the IML is working on it, and I know ISACO is working on it as well. So stay tuned.
Appreciate that.
Joe
Again.
has been emailing us this morning, I was emailing Jill on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm on those too. So, and Kath, did you want to?
Real quick.
Okay,
We just
please.
so since September 18th, we've gotten 18 regular appeals, which is our normal average, but we have 61 of the Pretrial Fairness Act appeals. So definitely a lot larger volume than the regular appeals. They're, it's just the new statute just makes it real quick and easy to appeal. It just makes it a very simple process.
So in 5 months, it's 61.
61, yeah.
And what was the first number? I mean,
18 is how many of other types of appeals we have.
But the 61 is specific to
To the
pretrial.
Fairness Act, in addition.
Yeah, those, and you know what, can I ask, maybe every 6 months, you just throw that in a report, so we're updated on what it is? I would appreciate that. That'd be great.
Kathy, those 61, are they broken out between the people who were in court after the effective date or those that were in jail before? Do you know what that includes?
Most of them would be after. There might be just, just a couple right at the beginning, a whole right at the very beginning, but the bulk of them would definitely be after.
Okay, thank you.
And we definitely see the bulk are being appealed by the person being detained rather than the state. We've had a few where the state has appealed. But the bulk of them are the person being detained.
I mean, but if you use the 18 as an average, and then you say 61, that's 3 times more, right, in 5 months?
Right.
Okay. Just, I think that's significant.
Can I do a Lake County jail update?
Yeah.
1 minute?
I would love
I
that.
think I told, the Cal last time that I was going over to meet with the Lake County Administrator. I did that 12
You did.
days ago. She wants the agreement, to come to be, but she's, there's a lot of politics in Lake County. And she, you recall, they don't have enough money in the sheriff's contractual line
Right,
to
right.
continue at 150 a day workfall. There isn't enough money there. The new county administrator told me to watch committee agendas and because there would be likely a discussion about transfer of monies from the sheriff's personnel line to the sheriff's contractual line. That I did look last night and it is on there for their finance committee this Thursday to transfer 1.6 million from personnel to contractuals. I think there's still a question whether that ultimately passes and whether it ultimately gets onto the March County Board agenda, but there's clearly more discussion on it and some support anyways. We'll keep our eye on it.
Do we know what the pushback is and why they don't want it? Is there a specific reason, or is it truly just a political situation?
I think they have 21 county board members and probably 21 different reasons in some respects. But
Okay.
I mean, there's a lot of foot there, and it's not all about the jail. There's a lot of other issues going on. Sure.
Subtext.
PSAPs that they're building in the big development. Thanks.
All right, great. Anybody else, quick reports, anything? We have no need for executive session, so we are concluded with our meeting. Can I have a motion to adjourn? Mr. Shorten, seconded by Mr. Hendricks. All those in favor?